You're listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, where we share topics that will inspire business growth and help you stay ahead of advances in technology before they become mainstream. This episode is sponsored by Ingram Micro Xvantage, the game-changing platform that will transform your business potential and reshape how customers see you. Our next guest is Ingram Micro's Senior Vice President and CFO, Anthony Mackle. Anthony is credited for developing finance programs that have helped countless partners jettison their growth. On today's show, we'll be discussing partner growth strategy. Is it time to hunker down or bunker down? In the face of economic uncertainty and rising interest rates, Anthony will share his insights and sage advice. Please join me in welcoming Anthony Mackle. Anthony Mackle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nina.
It's so good to have you here. I've got so much to talk about, and I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to dive right in.
Perfect.
We're here at the Global Cloud and Innovation Summit in Las Vegas, and I know that you've been talking to partners, and I have to believe they're talking about the financial headwinds, the high interest rates. They're talking strategy with you. What are you hearing, and what are you sharing?
Gina, you're right. We've heard some of those, but one of the things I think I've been most surprised about is the opportunity that everybody has. Just the opportunity to talk about to grow their business, the experiences they're having, what they're seeing in the market, the opportunities, particularly around security, particularly around solution selling versus just a product sale. I mean, as a CFO, if you come to me with a project that you want me to do, the first thing I'm going to want to know is what the return is on the investment that I'm about to make in there. Closely followed by how am I going to pay for it? Because of course I'm a finance guy. But it was just the opportunities that I was hearing about and the projects that people were bringing to us going, okay, we have this. How can you help?
Wow.
Great conversation.
So are they bringing opportunities? Because I always found, I've been with Ingram now over 9 years, and it seems to me early on that partners were bringing deals forward for financing later in the cycle instead of early in the cycle.
Oh, that's it. Well, I wish it would change faster, and I will explain to you the answer that I'm giving. So I've been an advocate of bring financing into the deal early, because then the opportunity to have the end user actually pay for it goes up through the roof. And I'll explain it to you this way. We have a partner who came to us and said, I want to double my business. And he said, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to start offering financing. And we had a discussion and we said, how about offering it before you quote or at the time of quote? Don't wait till the quote is finished, because the problem is, if you do that, then it becomes a renegotiation of the rate. So now you're into a second, and then there's the whole discussion about who's going to pay for it. If you bring it up the first time, the chances go up through the roof that you will actually have the end customer. The end customer will pay for that financing because they want the payment spread out over time. So it just enhances the probability that you get paid for it.
Is it like getting pre-approved for a house?
Oh, absolutely. If you know how much you have to spend or can spend up front, then you can absolutely determine what house size you're going to buy.
Yep.
And you don't get oversold.
That's amazing. And I'm glad to hear that it's changing, but it does need to change faster. And I don't know why. I really wish for those of you who are listening, and if you're an Ingram Micro partner, it's really imperative. If you bring your deal forward to finance, right? The only deal you have in finance is the one
I don't know about. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to switch just a little bit and talk about growth strategy. I'm hearing some of the partners talk about, listen, I'm going to keep my head down and focus on my business. I can't really think about growth right now because it's just a crazy time right now in the world. And with so many things happening, it's like we were talking before, is it time to hunker down or bunker down?
Well, what's funny about that is back in 2020, when we came into COVID, people asked me, what's Ingram doing? So at that time, just like we saw in the market, people were super concerned about cash flow. Now, it's kind of strange, because when should you be really serious about cash flow? There's actually two conditions. One is if you're not growing. if you're seeing stagnation. But the second thing is, if you are growing, it does not matter. In either situation, you need cash. Basically, what we recommend in time of headwind is that you have at least 6 months of cash on hand. Why 6 months? Because you're looking at, you've still got to cover payroll, you've still got to cover your rent, you've still got to cover all those month-to-month expenses. We were joking earlier on. I said, in an ARR world, your expenses don't get spread out over time. You've got to pay them when they're due. So the advice that I give is simple as this: keep 6 months of cash on hand. Or if you're growing your business, you've got to have positive cash flow. So, and I gave the example of this. So businesses that are growing, like are converting from terms to an ARR model or an MRR model, you're getting paid over time. So in a 36-month annuity, your break-even point from a cash flow standpoint is month 23. So you're out of pocket 23 months. And that's where I say, come talk to us. We'll show you how to fund that growth.
What about partners who are thinking about acquisition? They're thinking, I want to position I want to acquire a company, but right now, oh my gosh, now is not the right time. When is the right time?
It's always the right time. If the right opportunity is there for you to get into a business that you see growth in, it's always the right time. And so far, Ingram Micro has funded 47 acquisitions, and we take zero equity in any of those businesses. Now, the way we've been able to do this is quite simple. And to be honest with you, nobody else in the market is offering this. What we do is, if you either have or see a target that has managed services, we'll actually fund those managed services up front with no communication to the end user. This is between you and us. We'll fund the annuity payments, and we'll fund it all up now. Think of it this way: you have a house with equity. We're funding the equity.
Yeah,
that's exactly what we're doing.
Amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing. Who wouldn't? I mean, I just don't understand. And I hope Ingram is not keeping that as a guarded secret, right? We need to talk about it a lot more. But really, Ingram should be seen as a bank that doesn't really charge interest.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's if you look at it, we changed the culture of Ingram a few years ago. We went from being a credit organization to a financial solutions organization, simply because there's two things in financing you have to do. We're involved in financing our partner. So how do we finance their cash flow? But we're also interested in how do we finance their transaction. So the recommendation that I have for any of our partners out there, it does not matter if you don't need us for cash flow. My recommendation to you, either in a time of growth or a time of headwind, is finance the transaction. Don't use your own balance sheet. Either use ours or some financing organization. I mean, all of the vendors have captives out there. So why use your own balance sheet? Use theirs.
Absolutely. This is such great advice. I just so enjoy talking to you, listening to you, learning from you. It is always a pleasure. Anthony Mackle, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. You've been listening to Ingram Micro's B2B Tech Talk. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode and you want to continue the conversation online, use hashtag B2B Tech Talk.